Yo, what's good? You're listening to Everyday Superpower, the place where you learn about body language, you learn about game, attraction, repulsion, everything in between, okay? Two links in the description of this video. One of them will take you through to the Dictionary of Body Language. That's a playlist I have compiled of my own personal material, which will teach you how to read body language. Second to that, I've got the Patreon where you'll be able to join me in observing real first dates. I'll break down the attraction cues, the repulsion cues, and you'll be able to translate that and internalize that information and visual into your real life so you can go flying in your dating experience, okay? Now, we've got one about body language on this particular video. We're going to talk about obstruction, and we're going to talk about obstacles, and we're going to talk about repulsive behavior, yes? Possibly not repulsive in a sickly manner, but as I've spoken to you, there's attraction and repulsion, yeah? Something I believe in. You can break it all down to that as far as human communication is concerned. And you might feel like you are unapproachable, and you might wonder why. And you might feel like you want to up your chances of being able to communicate with people generally, let alone women, okay? Or whomever, if you're whichever way inclined. Are you creating obstruction? And it shouldn't be as deep as it is. So, first and foremost, I've just used a picture as an example, right? The guy's got earphones in. Do you think he is open to conversation? If you were trying to sell a product to somebody on a train, would you go up to this guy first thinking he was your best bet? Probably not. And if you were to speak to him, you would potentially feel like you were a hassle, considering now he's had to remove himself from his space, his internal space, as to where he's blocked out the outside world. You know, he might be there thinking, oh, that woman's beautiful, and he might have made eye contact with this woman. But he's gone out of his way to sort of create this non-verbal barrier and boundary around him as to where he's inaccessible purely as he is shutting off communication, or at least exemplifying and accenting the fact that it's going to be quite hard to speak to him. You want to make it easy for people to speak to you now. Let's look at other alternate obstacles. Let's say he's not got headphones in, but he's reading a book. Okay, so he's still on the same train, and now he's reading a book. Could it not be perceived as a hassle if you were to distract somebody who was reading? And it even goes down to the clothing game. He's wearing glasses. That in itself is an obstacle between you and them, as your eye contact doesn't create the intimate eye-to-eye connection it would do given he was wearing contact lenses or just had bare eyes. And don't get me wrong, we could dispute the fact that the contact lens in themselves is an obstacle of sorts, albeit a minute one. We go from 0 to 100 because we have no obstacle, and now we have one, even though it's ever so minute, a thin layer of what might not even be perceived to the conscious mind of the other person, but the subconscious might develop this uncanny valley-esque approach to this person, thinking their eyes are a little glossier than normal, a little bit of bloodshot, so forth, and it might send that person off. Have you seen the depth as to where we can go with this? The beanie hat may be used as an obstacle as you are obstructing your face one way or another. Could we talk about the beard as the same way? I want you to think about that. I mean, we could continue on forever. There is limitations to what I'm trying to say, because purely it would result down to the individual being completely stark naked in public if we wanted to have no obstacles between the way, you know? So there are limitations to what I'm speaking of, but it's something to be considered. If you want to be accessible, and if you want to access other people, and if you want to be attractive and be perceived as attractive, then try and create a means as to where people can be attracted to you and feel comfortable in communicating with you. That was a brief one, all right? This has correlations and a crossover to dating when you're sitting opposite each other at a table and you're cutting off half of your body, and then you can create further obstructions by having glasses in between you, menus in between you, food in between you. Of course, we've got the crossing of the arms, which creates a barrier, an obstacle. So there's so many levels to this game that you need to understand. Obstruction isn't a way of letting people in, it's a way of repulsing people. And on that note, I'm signing out. If that was some game, click like and subscribe.